Ten things you didn't know about Isaias Afwerki. Hello Disparers, welcome back to another exciting video and thanks for watching. In this video, we shall be taking you all the way to Eritrea and we shall be shining the light on its president, Isaias Afwerki. Isaias Afwerki is the current president of Eritrea, having a position which he has been holding since the independence of the country. He was born on February 2nd, 1946 in Asmara, the capital city of Eritrea. He attended Prince Makonnen High School. In the early 1960s, he joined the nationalist Eritrean student movement. He led the Eritrean People's Liberation Front to victory in May 1991, ending the 30-year-old war for independence. Isaias is the leader of Eritrea's sole legal political party, the People's Front for Democracy and Justice. When Isaias was born in 1946 in Asmara, the city was under the United Nations mandated control of the United Kingdom. Isaias studied engineering in Ethiopia at the University of Addis Ababa, but he left the university in 1966 to join the EPLF. During Ethiopia's own revolution in 1974, Isaias led the highland-dominated Eritrean People's Liberation Front. In 1987, he was elected Secretary General for the EPLF. If you are new here, welcome. Be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our videos. In the years that followed, Isaias gradually consolidated his power over virtually every aspect of Eritrean life, serving additionally as Commander-in-Chief of the Army and as Chairman of the country's sole political party, the People's Front for Democracy and Justice, PFDJ, as the EPLF renamed itself in 1994, gaining him international recognition. So let's take a closer look at this African leader with the 10 things you didn't know about Isaias Afwerki. Number 1. He is the first and only president of Eritrea. After years of military struggle, the EPLF defeated Ethiopian troops in May 1991. As provisional government was put in place with Isaias at the head, and a referendum on Eritrean independence from Ethiopia was planned for the future. Eritreans voted overwhelmingly in favor of independence in a referendum, which was held in April 1993. The next month, Isaias was elected president of Eritrea by the National Assembly, as well as chairman of the aforementioned body, giving him control of both the executive and legislative branches of the government. On May 24th, he officially proclaimed Eritrea's independence and has led the position of the president since then, as well as being the leader of the successful Eritrean People's Liberation Front, the EPLF. Number 2. Afwerki joined the Eritrean independence struggle in 1966. Afwerki was studying engineering in Addis Ababa in 1966 when he decided to abandon his studies to join the 30-year Eritrean War for Independence, also known as the Gedli. He traveled to Kassala, Sudan, through Asmara to join the Eritrean Liberation Front, EPLF. The next year in 1967, the Chinese government donated light weapons and a small amount of cash to cover the cost of transportation and provided training to EPLF combatants. Isaias was among the first group that went to China in 1967. There he received intensive military training. Upon his return, he was appointed as the political commissioner of the EPLF's Zone 5 in the Hamasen region. Isaias played a key role in the grassroots movement, which rapidly gathered momentum and brought about the demise of the zonal divisions of the Liberation Army. Number 3. Afwerki was once viewed as a beacon of hope for Eritrea. When he first came to power, Afwerki shunned the cult of personality adopted by many African leaders, earning him praise from international observers as a positive force for Eritrea. He was also praised for his commitment to building governmental infrastructure and electoral system. The US President Bill Clinton described him as a renaissance leader, but Eritrea has since dropped below North Korea for press freedom. Under Afwerki's rule, Eritrea is now ranked as the world's worst country for freedom of the press, worse even than North Korea. He has closed all independent media and is known for jailing journalists critical of his administration. He cancelled the 1997 presidential elections, and in 2001 he virtually closed the national press. That same year, he had several prominent opposition leaders arrested and charged with treason. Number 4. He is the only leader in Africa that can be seen walking around in urban centers without any security detail. He is definitely a one-of-a-kind president as he doesn't follow the regular norms. Most African presidents are heavily guarded, but Isaias Afwerki does not have a huge security detail like that, which is no surprise to his people, but it's a big shock to foreigners. February 4th, 2016, an American Major General, Marston M. Robinson, accidentally met Eritrean president walking alone in Asmara. He was impressed and knew he was dealing with a confident man who was cut off from a different cloth. Even with the ongoing demonization campaign against him, Eritrean Hartman still enjoys popular support among his people. In fact, he's the only world leader that can be seen walking around the capital without any security detail. Isaias doesn't need bodyguards, he told reporters. He goes around alone. He lives in a normal house. He governs an African capital that is crime-free, without slums, even though there are relatively few police. Number 5. Isaias earns less than most world presidents. This is why it is something of a common assumption amongst people that presidents are untouchable, elite personalities with very deep pockets. Presidents are thought to be very wealthy individuals who take home fat paychecks just because they can. People tend to see them as affluent individuals who make a lot of money from their huge salaries, gifts, and in some cases backhanded schemes. For every Paul Biya or Uhuru Kenyatta, there is an Isaias Afwerki or John Magufuli that is not exactly ranking in huge sums from the office, at least not in legal wages. The Eritrean president is not exactly everyone's favorite because of his history of suppressing the press in his country and various accusations of human rights violations, but a report from 2017 has it that he is one of the lowest paid presidents in Africa. 2 years ago, there were reports that he earned $400 a month, which is less than what a Canadian mining company like Nelson Resources and miners make in their country. Afwerki became the first president of Eritrea after the country gained its independence in 1993. He has kept the office in his tight grip since then. According to the LA Times, he makes less than $12,000 a year, making him one of the least paid presidents in the world. Number 6. Isaias is a very sociable and a family man. Isaias met his wife, Saba Haile, during the struggle to liberate Eritrea. Like him, she was a freedom fighter, and the two of them met in a village called Nakfa in the summer of 1981. Together they have 3 children, Abraham, Elsa, and Berhane. Isaias has made laughter official Eritrean policy, telling everyone to have a sense of humor. According to a communique of the Ministry of Information, more than just a respite from sadness and pain, laughter gives you the courage and strength to find new sources of meaning and hope. As a young guerrilla fighter, Isaias got a tattoo of the letter E on his chest to symbolize Eritrea and the Eritrean Liberation Front or EPLF. He is a big fan of classic rock such as Pink Floyd, the Beatles, and Jimi Hendrix. His favorite international football team is Arsenal FC. He also knows how to speak a total of 7 languages: Tigrinya, Tigre, Hydrarep, English, Arabic, Amharic, and basic Mandarin Chinese. Number 7. There has been allegations against him in recent years. In June 2015, a United Nations panel accused Isaias of leading a totalitarian government responsible for systematic human rights violations that may account to crimes against humanity. Amnesty International believes that the government of President Isaias Afwerki has imprisoned at least 10,000 political prisoners. Afwerki's administration responded to the UN report with outrage, citing a lack of evidence such as video or audio. Others claimed the commission overstepped its mandate and questioned the impartiality of its leaders, citing over 300,000 cases of forced labor and indefinite conscription. The UN reports deemed Eritrea's action scheme to slavery and recommended that high-ranking Eritrean officials, including Afwerki, be referred to the International Criminal Court and charged with crimes against humanity. In 2015, Reporters Without Borders ranked Eritrea under the government of President Isaias Afwerki last in its Press Freedom Index for the 8th year running. Number 8. He ended the long-standing conflict with Ethiopia. Isaias oversaw an unexpected transformation of the country's relations with Ethiopia in 2018. Engagement by Ethiopia's newly elected Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed in June 2018 to end a long-standing border war between the countries led to a flurry of diplomatic activity, including reciprocal visits by Isaias and Abiy in July 2018. Diplomatic and commercial ties between Ethiopia and Eritrea were established, and on June 9th, the two leaders signed a joint declaration of peace and friendship that ended the state of war between their countries and enunciated a framework of bilateral cooperation in the political, cultural, and economic security fields. This was widely acknowledged by numerous world leaders, with the UAE government awarding Isaias Afwerki the Order of Zayed, or First Class, in recognition of his efforts to end the conflict. Number 9. He put an end to so-called foreign aid in 2005. Foreign aid has always been a way for developed countries to keep post-colonial ties with former colonies or countries where they have interest in. Eritrea has not been an exemption when it comes to these aids in all forms, financial, material or otherwise. The United States, along with other foreign governments, provided aid to Eritrea until Afwerki became president and ended the so-called foreign aid, citing it as a dependency creator. The following year, he prohibited non-governmental organizations. Number 10. Thousands flee Eritrea despite shoot-to-kill border policy. Afwerki has a shoot-to-kill policy for his border patrols, but many Eritreans take the risk and flee across the border anyways. Eritrea's refugee crisis has drawn attention to Afwerki's administration and forced international observers to look more closely at his actions. Last year alone, over 47,000 Eritreans applied for asylum in Europe. He allegedly forces young people into perpetual national service. Afwerki instituted mandatory conscription for all young people into national service, but often there is no end in sight for new soldiers. The mass national service can last for decades, forcing many Eritreans to flee. Afwerki pointed to the tension that existed with Ethiopia as the reason for maintaining national conscription, of which many Eritreans got fed up with, resolving to flee the country despite the risk. There you have it, explorers. Those were 10 things about Isaias Afwerki you probably didn't know about. Thanks for watching this video. If you want us to cover any of your top 10 topics, leave your suggestions in the comments and we will do well to grant your request. Also, if you did enjoy this video, do well to give it a thumbs up and do not forget to subscribe and share with your friends.